I'm Sarah Davis with Bryan and Craig Button. And guys, we just heard those comments from Craig Berube after last night's embarrassing, disappointing loss. Hayes, what's your reaction?
Well, first and foremost, the problem last night was not about coaching. It was not about systems. It was about the players. They didn't show up. There was no effort. There was no life in their game last night. But in terms of the big picture, obviously when you discuss comments like that, it's more than just one game. Like, I think Craig Berube is at an impasse here. I think he's had enough of these guys, quite frankly. Maybe they've had enough of him. And when you say something like, go ask them, that's taking yourself out of the fight. I don't think it's a great look. But I think it was the last comment, Craig, that would be more concerning for me if I'm the GM, if I'm in ownership, where Craig Berube said the message is the message, and basically they need to figure it out. In other words, I'm not changing. I am who I am. I've won a Stanley Cup. I've been in this league for a long time. I'm going to continue to emphasize the message. The message isn't working, right? Not just last night.
Clearly.
Obviously, that was an effort issue, but they get caved in basically every single night. They get outshot every single night. He wants them to play with net front presence. They cannot control the front of their net. He wants them to be a big, heavy team that will charge into the corners and be a forechecking team and a cycle team. They don't have it, Craig. So something's got to give here. As far as I'm concerned, it's a standoff. Coach versus players, and generally speaking, the players win in the end.
Well, okay, if you call that winning, good. Way to go. Give a win to the Toronto Maple Leafs. It'll be another win that doesn't matter. So when you look at where Craig Berube goes at it with it, you said, well, maybe they've had enough of him. What the players should be doing is standing in front of the mirror and saying, we've had enough of ourselves not giving an effort. Listen, I can understand that maybe you don't have enough talent, that maybe you struggle in certain areas, but at the end of the day, and it's real simple, you control your effort. You control what you're capable of doing when it comes to determination and effort. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have failed. And too many of their players have failed. And now we hear it all the time, Bryan. Oh, yeah, we got to be better. Yeah, it's a message is taken. You know what? Your actions speak so loudly, I don't even hear what you're saying anymore. I watch the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames play on a regular basis. They bust their butts. They play hard. They fall short because they don't have enough talent. But they never cheat themselves or the team on effort. And that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs players are doing. They're cheating themselves. And that will not end if you go and change the coach. Because until the players decide that they're not going to cheat themselves, nothing's going to change and nothing's going to happen in terms of success.
I guess that's why Berube is so frustrated here, is because he is not seeing that level of effort that is needed to play in the NHL. And Craig, you were a GM in the league. If you hear your coach saying these comments to the media, what would be your next steps?
My next steps would be to fully support the coach. If Brad Treliving is watching that and not showing support for his coach, then why even have a coach? Just have somebody stand back there. Have a cutout stand behind the bench. Craig Berube's won. Craig Berube's always been a competitor. He didn't play 1,000+ games in the NHL. He never cheated anybody on effort. So as a GM, I would be 100% supportive of Craig Berube. In fact, I would have come out today and said exactly that.
Okay, I mean, something's got to give here, and only two teams are worse than the Leafs in the Eastern Conference, the Sabres and Blue Jackets. Both of them are only 1 point back. So, Hayes, where do the Leafs go from here?
Well, I mean, like Craig just said, if he was in Brad Treliving's position, he would go out and support him right now. But I do think Treliving has to make a decision. Is it the coach? Is it the players? Is it the job that I've done, right? We got to bring the GM into the fold here, too.
You got to look at everything.
He's been here a long time, right? He's put a lot of these pieces in place as well. And can you salvage the season? That is ultimately the question here, because I think they're running out of time for patience in terms of just saying we're going to continue to go with what we're going here. We're going to try to continue to poke and prod and get them back into the playoffs.
To figure it out.
They're 33 games in here, right? They're chasing a playoff spot. They're in a dark place. You mentioned it. There's very few teams behind them. There's a lot ahead of them. So something has to give. Whether if it's the coach, then you got to get to the players. Maybe you got to make a trade. Maybe you've got to find a way to spark them. If you think you can salvage the season and you think the players are just simply underperforming because of the coach, then it's probably imperative you go out and make a coaching change. But who's that guy going to be? And is he here for the long term? Is it just about this season, or do they have deeper problems where they need to retool for a year or two? And if that's the case, then maybe it's not in your best interest to go get a Peter DeBoer or a John Tortorella, because who knows whether or not the GM will be here at the end of this season.
That's right. Boy, it's hard to find a silver lining with the Maple Leafs right now. And you talk about the future. Well, Money Puck uses analytics to find out each team's chance of making the playoffs. The Leafs now have only an 18% chance of making it to the postseason.